Greetings, Manchester City supporters. In today's video, you'll be fully updated on the latest developments and news from our beloved club. But before we begin, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any updates on what's happening at City. Get ready because we have plenty of exciting news to share. Let's start with Issa Cabore, the young defender from Burkina Faso. Manchester City is set to bring Cabore back from his loan at Benfica, which unfortunately did not go as expected. Since joining City in 2020, Cabore has experienced a series of loans, playing for clubs like Mechelen, Marseille, Troyes, and Luton Town. However, his most recent move to Benfica last summer did not live up to the expectations of both the player and the Portuguese club. When he signed with Benfica, Cabore was excited about the new opportunities. He arrived with high hopes. When you join a big club like Benfica, the objectives are clear. "We are here to win titles, and that is our mission," said the player, reflecting on his growth through previous loan spells. He was optimistic, believing this would be his chance to make a mark in European football. However, his time in Portugal fell short of expectations. Cabore had few chances to play, featuring in only 7 matches and starting just 2 of them in the Portuguese league. To make matters worse, he played just 11 minutes in 3 appearances as a substitute. The right-back's season was frustrating, especially considering the high hopes placed on him. What caught the attention of many fans was Cabore's inclusion in Manchester City's squad for the Community Shield last summer, despite not being part of the team's preseason in the United States. His presence on the bench during the home match against Ipswich in August was also puzzling, as he was not fully integrated into Pep Guardiola's squad. And even before his move to Benfica, Cabore had been at the center of attention due to these movements. Now, with the loan at Benfica falling short of expectations, Manchester City is exploring alternatives for Cabore's future. Instead of integrating him into the first team, the possibility of another loan seems to be the most likely route. With a contract at City until 2027, the defender has enough time to be reassessed and potentially return stronger in the future. According to the traditional evaluation that Manchester City conducts on loaned players in January, there is an expectation that the club will review Cabore's situation and that of other reserve or youth players. City always leaves open the possibility of loaning players to clubs that can offer more playing time, even for those like Cabore who already have experience at major clubs. Now, the big question remains, what should Manchester City do with Issa Cabore? Should he be loaned out again to continue his development, or is it time to start integrating him into Pep Guardiola's team? Leave your opinion in the comments below. We want to hear what you think about the future of this young talent. But it's not just Cabore who is on Manchester City's radar when it comes to reinforcements and moves in the winter transfer window. Another name being discussed within the club is Douglas Luiz, former Manchester City player and current midfielder at Aston Villa. After a season of expectation with his transfer to Juventus, things have not gone as planned for the Brazilian, raising the possibility of a return to the club where he began his Premier League career. Douglas Luiz was signed by Aston Villa in 2019 for around $25 million, coming from Manchester City. At the time, City included a buyback clause which keeps the door open for a potential return of the player. The 26-year-old Brazilian midfielder has had a tough 2024 season at Juventus. He has had limited playing opportunities and has not managed to establish himself in the Italian team, making only 9 appearances in Serie A, mostly as a substitute. One of the issues affecting Douglas's performance is a muscle injury that kept him from returning to Aston Villa for the Champions League campaign in November, disappointing fans of the club. Additionally, he has struggled to adapt to Juventus's playing style, which is understandable given that switching leagues and clubs can be a challenge for any player. According to Gazzetta dello Sport, Juventus is reportedly willing to part ways with Douglas Luiz during the January transfer window. The Italian club is focused on strengthening both its defense and attack, which opens the possibility of a loan swap. Rumors suggest Manchester City might even attempt to bring Douglas back on loan. If that happens, would he fit into Pep Guardiola's system? In a recent interview, Douglas Luiz spoke about his adaptation struggles and acknowledged that not all players can adjust quickly to a new environment. He said, "He is playing less than expected, but he is a strong player. Some adapt quickly while others need time. Patience is key, and Douglas has undeniable qualities. Last year, he was decisive for us, playing 90% of the games." This shows that Douglas's talent has never been questioned, but rather his adjustment to the new scenario, and many believe he still has a promising future, whether at Juventus or even back at Manchester City. Aston Villa, in turn, decided to sell Douglas Luiz as part of their effort to meet Premier League financial regulations, as the midfielder was considered one of the club's most valuable assets. This paved the way for his move to Juventus, but now, with the Italian club seeking new players to reinforce their squad, the possibility of Manchester City exercising the buyback clause to bring Douglas back is once again on the table. But does Pep Guardiola really want to bring Douglas Luiz back to City? The Spanish manager has shown interest in other players, such as Adam Wharton, Eberechi Eze, and even Anthony Gordon from Newcastle, but any moves for these players are more likely for the summer, with the immediate focus being on the current squad and potential adjustments in midfield. As for Douglas, he still has a lot to offer, and his Premier League experience could be valuable to City. So the question remains, do you think Douglas Luiz would fit into Guardiola's system? Should City bring the Brazilian midfielder back, or is it better to move on to other options? Leave your opinion in the comments below. We want to know what you think about this possibility. Well, my City supporting friends, let's continue with the updates. Now, in addition to the potential moves involving Cabore and Douglas Luiz, we need to look at the future of Manchester City's squad, which is going through a phase of transitions and challenges, mainly due to injuries to some of its key players. January 1st marked the official opening of the winter transfer window, a crucial moment for clubs looking to strengthen their squads for the final part of the season. In City's case, the window is even more significant, given the club is facing a true injury crisis. Pep Guardiola, always attentive to the squad's needs, is responsible for finding immediate solutions to ensure the team remains competitive until the season's end. Pep recently signed a contract extension with Manchester City, which gives him more time and flexibility to restructure the team, especially after a period of ups and downs. This decision was crucial for the future of the club, as Guardiola will continue to be the central figure in the team's strategies over the next 2 years. This not only provides stability for the squad, but also ensures that City remains competitive, even after the eventual departure of some key players, such as Kevin De Bruyne. Speaking of De Bruyne, the situation with the Belgian is generating much speculation. De Bruyne's contract with Manchester City is approaching its end, and he recently confirmed that there have been no discussions about a renewal. He has remained calm on the matter, but also stated in November that he wanted to focus entirely on recovering from his injury before deciding on his future. This leads us to question, is De Bruyne's future really at Manchester City? With the possibility of De Bruyne negotiating with other clubs after the start of the year, some suggest he could even leave City on a free transfer. He has made it clear that he would be open to offers, and Saudi Arabia, with its generous financial packages, could be an interesting destination. However, De Bruyne also denied any formal talks with clubs in the Saudi Pro League, making it clear that his decision will be well thought out. What remains to be seen is whether he will stay at City for another season or if the club will look for alternatives in midfield in the near future. De Bruyne, being one of the pillars of City's recent success, could have a significant impact on any decision Guardiola makes regarding squad renewal. What happens with De Bruyne could be a deciding factor in the club's planning, especially regarding the search for new talent and reinforcements for the team. Another player whose contract is nearing its end is Ilkay Gundogan, who, like De Bruyne, is one of the great names of the Guardiola era at Manchester City. Gundogan has been a cornerstone in City's midfield, but recently he has been facing physical struggles and a dip in performance. This decline has been partly due to the excessive number of games and the overload imposed by the club's injury situation. Therefore, Manchester City needs to decide quickly whether to activate Gundogan's contract renewal option, which would secure him for another year. The midfielder's physical condition will be crucial to this decision. Over the years, Gundogan has proven to be one of the team's most valuable players, but his physical issues and recent form raise doubts about his future at City. With a lack of options in midfield due to injuries, his continued presence at the club could be vital to maintain the team's balance, but the financial aspect cannot be ignored, especially with City's desire to invest in other players. Additionally, we have Scott Carson, the veteran goalkeeper whose contract is also about to expire. Carson, who is City's third-choice goalkeeper, has been an important presence in the dressing room, but his age and the approach of his 40s bring up the inevitable question, will he continue to be part of Guardiola's squad, or will the club begin to consider alternatives for his position? Despite his advanced age, Guardiola highly values Carson's experience and his presence in the squad. The goalkeeper has been a key figure in supporting other players and has proven to be an excellent mentor, especially for the younger goalkeepers in the squad. However, with retirement potentially on the horizon, Manchester City will need to decide on Carson's role at the club going forward. If he stays at City, it will most likely be as a backup, but the club will probably need to search for a new goalkeeper who could be the future star of the position. Manchester City may even consider temporarily extending the contracts of De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Carson to cover important commitments, such as the FIFA Club World Cup, which extends beyond the traditional contract end dates. This contract extension would allow these players to remain with the team during the tournament and then make a decision about their futures, giving the club time to better assess its options and strategies for the future. So, Manchester City supporter, what do you think about all of this? Should City renew with De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Carson to ensure their participation in the Club World Cup? Or is it time to turn the page and focus on new options for the future of the club? Let's talk about it in the comments below. The truth is that as Manchester City enters a period of squad transitions, some important decisions need to be made to ensure the team stays at the top despite the challenges. The club has been outstanding in the Premier League and other competitions, but what lies ahead, especially in a season marked by injuries and other obstacles, will require much more than just the continuity of their best players. The pressure to maintain excellence is always high, and City will need to make the right choices to avoid the season ending on a note below expectations. When observing City's current situation, we cannot forget the other players who have also been key parts of Guardiola's team, but may not receive as much visibility as stars like De Bruyne or Haaland. Players such as Bernardo Silva, Rodri, and even Jack Grealish play vital roles in Guardiola's tactical structure. However, the future of these players is also at stake, as the club, like all great teams, must always seek new additions and smart replacements over time. Bernardo Silva, for example, has been one of Manchester City's most consistent players. His versatility in midfield and attack, as well as his ability to play in various positions, makes him one of the cornerstones of the team. However, his name has been circulating in transfer rumors, with clubs like Barcelona and PSG showing interest in signing him. Bernardo's situation reflects the delicate balance City needs to maintain. On one hand, there is the desire to keep essential players, but on the other, the club must adapt to market changes, as well as balance the financial aspects and the demands of the squad. However, if City wants to continue to succeed both domestically and internationally, the team will need to ensure that key players like Bernardo remain motivated and committed to Guardiola's project. The search for new talents, especially those who can contribute immediately and not just for the future, is one of the club's priorities in this transfer window. Another player that might enter Manchester City's radar, especially given the current injury crisis, is Borussia Dortmund's young forward Jude Bellingham. The 20-year-old midfielder, who has been impressing on the international stage, would be an excellent addition to City's midfield. With some players leaving and uncertainty surrounding others, Bellingham could be the missing piece to complete the department and ensure City remains competitive on all fronts. However, signing Bellingham wouldn't be straightforward. Borussia Dortmund would certainly demand a substantial fee to release their young talent, and the competition from clubs like Real Madrid and Liverpool only makes the situation more difficult. Even so, City has the financial power to invest in such a deal, and Guardiola is certainly keeping an eye on reinforcements like Bellingham, who could bring a new dimension to the team. Moreover, the winter transfer window could be City's last chance to acquire a significant reinforcement before February, when the season really heats up, with the Premier League, Champions League, and other competitions intensifying. Meanwhile, the club must also be prepared for potential exits from players who no longer fit into Guardiola's project or who are seeking more playing time at other clubs. This market analysis will be crucial for City's success in the coming months. As mentioned earlier, City not only has the financial power to sign stars, but also has a scouting system and a talent observation network that frequently bring promising players to the club. Players like Cole Palmer, who have been standing out in the lower divisions or youth teams, could be promoted to the first team to help ease the pressure on the squad. Guardiola has always been skilled at giving opportunities to young talents, and the current moment may be perfect to integrate more of these prospects into the main team, especially with the shortage of players due to injuries. So, what does City need? More than just targeted reinforcements, Manchester City needs to focus on a healthy balance between experience and youth. Players like Haaland and De Bruyne, whose performances directly impact the team's results, cannot be overlooked. The recovery of injured players, the integration of new signings, and strengthening the squad as a whole will be vital to ensuring City can compete in all the competitions they're involved in. Regarding Cabore, Douglas Luiz, De Bruyne, Gundogan, and Carson, the January window will be a turning point. What City decides to do with these players will shape not only their future, but also that of the team. The departure of any of these names, or even a possible loan, will have consequences both in the short and long term. The focus now is to ensure that the team remains strong, competitive, and ready for the challenges still ahead. So, Manchester City supporter, what are your expectations for the club's immediate future? What do you think about the possible moves in the transfer window? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We're looking forward to hearing what you think about all this. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. This is the Manchester City News Channel, bringing you all the updates you need to know about the club. A big hug, and see you in the next video.